Welcome to Cheat Sheet Tale, where secrets slip, lies unravel, and the truth always has a twist. Real stories, raw confessions, and shocking betrayals. Drop a comment if you've ever caught a red flag too late. Now let's get into today's tale. Neighbor in Durham, where she'd lived, before the assisted care facility, Mrs. Bennington, a sweet retired schoolteacher who used to bake lemon cakes and always sent holiday cards with glitter that ended up stuck in the carpet. "Rhea, dear, I hope I'm not intruding," she said. "But I saw someone poking around the back of your mother's old house this week, a woman she left when I turned the lights on. But I'm almost certain it was your sister." I thanked her, heart sinking. Ivy had no reason to be there. The house had been sold. Over a year ago, to a young couple with a newborn, there was nothing left for her to take. But the fact that she went back, that she was still circling the wreckage, told me something. She wasn't done. Not yet. I went to my lawyer the next day. Her name's Lana Sharp. Dry-humored, no nonsense. She helped me through the estate settlement when our parents passed, and I trusted her more than most. People, I told her everything. The wine glass, the voicemail, the forged signature. From a year prior, she sat quietly as he talked. Occasionally jotting notes. When it finished, she looked up and said, "Do you want to file a report?" I hesitated. Would it do anything? It might, she said, or it might at least put a formal boundary in place. This isn't just about money anymore. It's about your safety and peace of mind. I didn't decide. That day, I told her I needed time. Part of me wanted to forget it, let it blow over. But another part, the one that had carried silent shame and guilt for years, wanted something different this time. Accountability. I went home and sat in the backyard with a cup of tea and my old dog, Jace. He's 12, gray around the muzzle and snores when he sleeps, is scratched behind his ears, and thought about what my dad would have said. If he were still here, he would have told me. To protect myself, to stop sacrificing for someone who only takes. That night, I dug through an old file box in the closet, and it was the original trust paperwork for Mom's medical fund. And right there on one of the withdrawal forms was a signature in my name that wasn't mine. Morin had said if we had hard evidence and the voicemail, we could build a case. Not necessarily to prosecute, but to send a message. I scanned the document, send it to her. 2 days later, she called me back. "You have a case," she said. "A good one." I didn't feel vindicated, just sad. And then a week later, another message from Ivy. "Are you really going to destroy your only sister over?" A voicemail. That one I did respond to. I wrote, "I didn't destroy anything. Just stopped pretending you didn't." Then I blocked her, but she wasn't done. 3 days after I blocked her number, I got Mail. It came from an account I didn't recognize, but the subject line made my stomach drop. "You're not as innocent as you think." It was Ivy. I opened it, reluctantly already. Bracing myself, the body of the message was short. Maybe 6 lines, but it dripped with venom. "You think you're the golden child, the martyr. But you always played the victim. Dad pitted you. You were weak. I took what I deserved. He owed me, and so do you. You can run to your little lawyer and cry into your tea. All you want, you'll always be the one alone." I sat staring at it, fingers poised over the keyboard, wondering what kind of response, if any, would even matter. Typed several replies, deleted them all. Not because I didn't have something to say, but because I finally realized she wasn't looking for clarity. She was looking for a fight. A new round in a battle I never agreed to. I forwarded the email to Maureen. Her reply was swift. "This strengthens our case." She's acknowledging. She took the money and sees it as entitlement, not theft. Keep everything. I started compiling a file, screenshots, messages, timelines, even notes from past conversations I could recall with dates and details. It felt surreal, documenting my own sister like she was a stranger who'd broken into my life, but I kept going. A week later, I got another call from my father's old accountant, Theo. He had managed their taxes for nearly 20 years and handled the paperwork after Dad's passing. I hadn't spoken to him since. "The estate settled, Rhea," he said, his voice even. "I hope I'm not catching you at a bad time. I was going through some old files from the estate, you know how we have to do, the 5-year archival sweep, and I found something I thought you should be aware of." He described a withdrawal made from one of our father's investment accounts 6 months before he passed, a $12,000 transaction. Authorized under both of our names, but I never signed off on anything. "You didn't approve this?" he asked. "No," I said. "I had no idea it even existed." He hesitated, then said it was routed to an account under the name Ann Rutherford. Ivy had taken money again before Mom even passed. Before Dad's voicemail, this wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment, it was a pattern, a web of calculated movesleys and manipulation. She'd taken advantage of a dying man, and then she came to me asking for more that night. I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor of the living room surrounded by papers, my laptop and legal pads. Jace curled up beside me. I started writing. Not for her, but for myself. Every memory. I could think of that might connect every financial breadcrumb every time something felt off over the past few years. But I dismissed it as stress or grief, and I thought back further to a family trip when I was 15 and she was 10. Dad had given us each $20 to spend. However, we liked during a stop in Asheville. I bought a book and a magnet. Ivy said she lost hers, cried, made a scene. I gave her $5 out of pity. The next day, I found her wallet stuffed with the full 20. It had always been like this, just on a smaller scale. I started to realize how much I'd excused myself, explained away, defended. I was beginning to feel something new resolve. That week, Morin submitted an official notice to Ivy through her firm, informing her that evidence of financial misconduct tied to the estate had been discovered and that legal action was being considered. A formal letter. No threats, no emotion, just facts. Ivy didn't reply, but I know she received it because the next week I got a call from her ex-husband. Not Carlos, the one who supposedly ran off to Brazil, but the second one, Blake. He sounded awkward and unsure of himself. Rhea, sorry to reach out. Like this, he said, I know things between you and Ivy aren't great, but I thought you should. No, she called me. What she said, you were trying to ruin her, that you were dragging up the past to steal her life. Her words, look, I don't want to get involved, but she mentioned your dad, that you had something on her. I asked him what he meant. She said you had a voicemail. She sounded scared. Desperate, said you twisted it to make her look bad. But honestly, I've known her long enough to trust that if someone says she did something terrible, she probably did. I asked why he was telling me this, because I'd been in your shoes, he said simply, and if someone had warned me about her sooner, I might have gotten out before everything went to hell. I thanked him and hung up. I thought hearing that would give me some sense of justice, but instead I just felt hollow. Later that evening, I got a text from a mutual cousin, Kian. She's not particularly close with either of us, but we grew up together and she stays in the family orbit. Ivy's telling people, you're suing her because she exposed a secret about your past. She's saying, you're mentally unstable. I figured you'd want to know. The lies were coming fast now and wide. But the strange thing was, something had shifted in me where before I might have spiraled, panicked, felt the need to defend or clarify or rush to put out every fire. Now I felt calm, let her talk, let her spin. Whatever story helps her sleep at night, because this time I had the truth, and I had finally stopped letting her rent space in my life for free. I let a few weeks pass without reacting to Ivy's smear campaign. She posted cryptic quotes on her Instagram stories, stuff like, some sisters are snakes in disguise and truth doesn't need a microphone, just time. I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting at first, especially when a few extended family members reached out just checking in with that awkward tension that meant they'd heard some version of her side. But I didn't bite. I didn't call or text or even correct the narrative. I had something better. I had a plan. With Morin's help, I compiled everything, the forged documents, the voicemail, the fraudulent withdrawal statements, and copies of the estate paperwork with notarized signatures that clearly didn't match. Morin prepared a formal report and submitted it to the North Carolina Department of Justice's Estate Fraud Division. That was the first chess movie, the second was more subtle. I contacted the care facility where my mother had stayed during her final. You're the one where Ivy's forged signature had authorized the redirection of funds. I asked if I could speak with their financial coordinator about a potential audit of services rendered and payments received. They were cooperative. And what did they find? Was gold. Apparently, there had been an anonymous payment made toward our mother's balance shortly after Dad passed, $2,500 cash, no traceable source, normally not suspicious, except it had come just days before Ivy showed up at the facility with a doctor's note requesting early discharge due to improved condition. My mother had Alzheimer's. There was no improvement. That became my third piece of leverage. We didn't take it to court. Not yet. Instead, Morin suggested something strategic, a civil mediation process. No public trial, no news articles, just Ivy, me, and a mediator. It was held in a quiet office suite in Durham. Ivy looked tired, drawn. Even her usual flair was muted. No red lipstick this time. She wore jeans and a hoodie like she wanted to disappear into them. She didn't greet me when I arrived, didn't look up when The mediator introduced herself, just sat there with her arms crossed. Morin opened the folder and laid out the documents, the forged withdrawals, the voicemail transcript the hospice released, paperwork. Ivy's face flushed, but she still tried to play it off. I was authorized. Rhea gave me verbal consent. Morin calmly slid forward. A forensic handwriting report from a specialist who confirmed my signature, was forged on 3 separate estate-related documents. Then another statement from the care facility's lead nurse, confirming no release was requested by him. The mediator nodded and asked Ivy if she wanted to provide a response. That's when the crack finally came. She exhaled loudly. Her shoulder slumped. Fine, she said. What do you want? And this, right here, is where the revenge came in. Because I didn't want to destroy her. I didn't want to see her in handcuffs. That's not how I operate. What I wanted was for her to finally face consequences, tangible ones. So I laid it out. She would repay $12,000 to the estate trust. Not to me personally, but to a legal fund that would go toward future caregiving scholarships in our mother's name. She would sign a formal declaration admitting to the misuse of estate funds and submit it for notarization. She would agree to have no contact with me moving forward. All communication would go through Maureen's office, and lastly, she would attend a financial accountability course, one designed for adults who've committed fraud, hosted by a nonprofit that works with white-collar offenders. At first, she scoffed, rolled her eyes, but when Morin mentioned that failure to comply would result in us moving forward with criminal charges with a very willing witness list, she quieted, and she agreed. We signed everything that day. The next month, Ivy made her first payment, probably from money she begged or borrowed from someone else, but it cleared. The scholarships were set up in Mom's name with the community college foundation, where I teach a quiet but fitting legacy. And the best part, the message didn't just reach Ivy. Family members started calling, not to question me, but to apologize. Kian sent flowers. Uncles I hadn't spoken to in years reached out saying, "We had no idea what you were dealing with." And Blake, the second ex-husband, emailed again. "You did something most people don't. You held her accountable." I hope you know how rare that is, but what truly sealed the ending. Got a letter in the mail, handwritten, sloppy penmanship, no return address, but I knew who it was from. "I did things I'm not proud of. You were right to cut me off. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to feel like a failure, but I am. You didn't deserve what I did. I hope the scholarship helps someone." There was no signature, and I didn't need one. I've kept the letter in a drawer next to a copy of Dad's voicemail. Not because I need reminders of what she did, but because they represent a turning point. Chapter closed. Sometimes revenge isn't loud, sometimes it's paperwork, boundaries, and watching someone finally sit with the mess they made without you cleaning it up for them. I still teach, still walk Jace every evening past the old campus chapel where my parents once renewed their vows. Life is quieter now, better. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm living it on my terms, not cleaning up after someone else's storm. And Ivy, she's just a story I tell now.